Thanks, Jay. Now, on Monday, the Financial Services Authority is expected to ease lending restrictions on homeowners caught in the trap of negative equity. Or at least, that's according to the front page of today's Daily Mail. Hundreds of thousands, it says, could be allowed to move house, even if the current value of their home is less than that of their outstanding mortgage. Since the credit crunch, UK property values have dropped by more than £250 billion, according to the Council of Mortgage Lenders. It's estimated around 1 in 12 homeowners were in negative equity in the first 3 months of this year. Next year, it's predicted that the number of housing transactions will fall from an already low figure by about 30,000. Well, here with me to discuss the housing market in general is Ray Bolger of the mortgage brokers Charcoal, indeed. Alongside him, the economist and wealth manager Jonathan Davis. Ray Bolger, can we start by talking about the FSA, the recommendations, and I suppose specifically this story mentioned in the Mail this morning about help for those in negative equity? Taking a starting point, do you agree that there are hundreds of thousands of people in the UK effectively trapped in their homes?
Yes, and it's not only the 800,000 or so in negative equity. Bearing in mind that most people, when they move, use the equity in their property to move, and it's very difficult to get a mortgage for more than 90% loan to value. We're really talking about something like 2 million people, those in negative equity, plus those who've got less than 10 or 15% equity. And at the moment, yes, it is very difficult for them to move.
So is it a sensible suggestion then to allow people to take their negative equity with them?
Yeah, I mean, some lenders already do allow this. Nationwide, for example, have had a scheme in place for quite some time whereby they will offer existing customers in negative equity of theirs a 95% mortgage on the property they're buying and allow them to port up to £30,000 of their negative equity. Other lenders have got some ad hoc schemes which they'll discuss with customers on a one-to-one basis. So this is not something that the FSA is going to allow that can't happen at the moment. It's something that some lenders do already do. What the FSA may be doing is actually providing a bit more comfort to other lenders who want to do it.
Jonathan Davis, if you're sat in a house which is worth less than the mortgage you've got on it, it's a pretty miserable experience. I mean, is this the sort of help that people need?
First of all, you probably shouldn't have borrowed so much in the first place. You should have been more aware of what was going on. Secondly, I wish governments would get the heck out of getting involved with markets of any kind. Thirdly, yes, of course, you feel trapped. You can't move. If you find another job 100 miles away, it's very difficult for you to get access to that job because clearly it's going to cost you a lot of money to travel every week or whatever. First of all, we also don't know that this is actually going to happen because it hasn't actually come out yet. It's only it's rumours. However, it's an interesting thing. I think if this does come out and more banks do take this up, I think what this will mean certainly is that people will be able to sell their homes. Interestingly, of course, they are not homeowners, they are mortgagees. If they were homeowners, this wouldn't apply, but everyone's calling them homeowners. They're certainly not. It will help them move home. It will actually exacerbate the fall in house prices that we've already experienced because more house transactions will take place at lower prices, and that actually is what's needed. We need lower prices to get the market and the economy going.
We'll come on to prices in just a moment. Ray, I want to talk about the FSA, and obviously their report's been going for 2 years. They've been looking at how to make sure we don't get a return to risky lending in essence. The market's changed. Well, has the market changed in that time? To a certain degree, do you think banks, building societies have changed the way they do business in a way that actually almost invalidates this report? Or is there still a need for change?
There's no need for more regulation to prevent risky lending at the moment. What the FSA is looking to do is bring in regulations now that they can apply more diligently in the future if lending becomes easier. Gross mortgage lending in 2007 was 363 billion. This year it's going to be about 140 billion. And with the Eurozone banking crisis, I think the chances are next year it'll be even a bit lower.
You say that, but I mean, in terms of this is the FSA report back in July last year, and it calculated that almost half of all new mortgages between 2007 and the first quarter of 2010, so well after the financial crisis, were provided without a customer having to verify their income. Do those sorts of practices still go on?
Now, that frankly is complete rubbish. The FSA has mixed up a self-cert mortgage, which is a specific mortgage that doesn't require you to prove your income, and a fast-track mortgage, which is a mortgage where the borrower has to be prepared to prove their income, but the lender chooses not to check it because they're sufficiently satisfied it's a low risk mortgage. So they are two very different situations.
You think, okay, you can Jonathan, are there any examples of what you might call sharp practice, which the FSA does need to stamp out in the industry, that still exists?
We've seen it on television, we've seen it in the press for years. Dodgy so-called advisors telling people quietly, oh, just write down whatever income you want because no one's going to check it. And that's been shown on camera. So yes, there have been loads of instances where people have applied for liar loans. And that was one of the reasons, actually, why we had the bubble in both prices and indeed in transaction numbers.
Okay, Jonathan Davis, Ray Bolger, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Very interesting stuff, and I'm sure we'll get you back again to discuss this. Perhaps even on Monday, we shall see. I'm Joel Hills, this is Jeff Randall Live, coming up after the break. What is justice? The Reverend